chances are you've experienced a thunderstorm this summer.
Maybe. Okay, yeah. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, that's enough of that. Some of us have seen and felt this as well. Canada is no stranger to severe weather, but many are wondering if thunderstorms like these are actually getting worse and if climate change is the cause. Either way, these storms are costing us billions. So, of course, to help us find some answers to this, we are joined by senior climatologist with Environment Canada, David Phillips. Good to see you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.
All right, if we look at these thunderstorms by the numbers, it seems like they are getting more destructive. The Northern Tornado Project says annually, thunderstorm-related damage accounts for $2 billion in losses, and that's up from $422 million just a few years ago. What do these numbers say to you?
Well, Anne-Marie, I think the jury is still out on whether we're seeing more of them. The actual count of them, I think, is in question. No question about it, though, that there are more destructive tornadoes. Weather is clearly more destructive, more impactful. And I think the reason for that is that we have changed more than the weather has really changed. There's more of us. We have more possessions. We have more insurance coverage on those. So those kind of million-dollar events are now becoming mega millions or even $1 billion events. So I think we're also living where we shouldn't be living, in floodplains and avalanche zones and by the sea. So there's greater vulnerability when weather hits you in those areas. So I think no question they're more destructive, but whether there's more of them is still a little uncertain.
We were just sharing some video of some of the destruction. I mean, when you see those hailstones, right, we all have a way to see and experience them, whether we're living through them or not. Do you think there is a relation to climate change here?
Well, I think that one thing we should say is that climate doesn't, create the weather. I mean, it can make the weather more impactful and it can make it bigger and badder and more and slow it down. But I don't think it triggers something. Like a weather event. But I think it's important that it kind of can shape it. I think that the big issue is that we're just seeing more, reporting more of them. And I think that social media, for example, is a big factor in there. For example, Anne-Marie, it used to be that you never knew that a hurricane occurred unless it sank a ship or made landfall. Now, my gosh, the oceans can't burp without us knowing about it because we have satellites and radar and observing sites. And just in our own province of Ontario, we typically get 10 to 15 tornadoes a year. Well, 2 years ago, we had 42 of those. And that's because of the project that you referred to, the Northern Tornado Project, Western University. And they had drones, they had satellites, they had aircraft, they had people with smartphones reporting these things. I mean, these things occurred in the province. They didn't go unescaped. We knew about it. So I think the observing techniques have changed, but the fact that these are, more of them, I think is still being a question. But there's clearly they have more impact on us than ever before.
And we continue to be fascinated by them. I mean, once you start watching those on your reels, they just keep coming. What do you think needs to be done by Canadians to better prepare for this kind of weather? You touched on it earlier when you said, we're living in places maybe we shouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly. I think we have to understand that with certain areas go risks. And so that we have to be prepared for that. But Anne-Marie, the climate has changed, but I don't think we've kept pace with it. We're still sucking off that same infrastructure that our grandparents dealt with. So what we need to do is to weatherproof our communities more, given the fact that our climate has changed, that storms could very well be more destructive. But we still haven't improved the infrastructure and things like that. I think we've seen some progress. I think in my own field of weather forecasting, we certainly see satellites, the science is better, the supercomputers. But one thing that's real different is that, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, well, if you left home, you didn't know what the weather was. But now you could be on a golf course anywhere, you could be out camping in a Algonquin Park, and you could have the weather delivered to you right there. So I think Canadians are safer now because of the weather, but they also have to be their own weather people. My advice to your viewers today is to also keep an eye on the sky. Those storms don't just sneak attacks. They kind of give you a sense of what's coming. So always be mindful, be educated about what the weather is going to be.
Right, and of course, watch Kelsey McEwen because she's keeping an eye on it all of the time
for sure.
us here. All right, Dave Phillips, always good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.